My wolf shirt is in the laundry.
And I've
Oh,
really. Oh, go ahead and talk, guys, because I really like. I noticed on this episode, Andy was quieter. I gotta get
yeah.
Yeah,
his.
but it wasn't bad. I listened to the last one,
Yeah,
like
it's
the
still.
Yeah,
Sundays. It wasn't super
Sunday's
bad.
episode I was quieter than you guys.
I know, and like to me right now, it sounds like we're even. I don't know
Yeah.
what. I don't know what's causing that. And that so there's that program I'm gonna buy that like I explained it to you guys, right, how
Yeah.
it goes in, but it's like $80 and we don't have $80 right now.
Mhm.
We po.
We are.
What are you doing with all that Patreon money? Just going to the Duffy's
Yeah,
every
yeah,
weekend?
I've been going to Duffy's, spending it on $3. Well, I still owe one pint glass. No, two now. I don't know. Like, I just need to space everything out. Once we get a little bit of a pile, we'll be doing okay. It'll start piling up. But
just
yeah,
like the Cubs 2015s our year.
right.
We get some revenue sources coming in, we should be better.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of perks to fulfill,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Plus, I subscribe to or I mean I pay for advanced stats for us now. So that's kind of helpful because it kind of gives us a little bit more insight as to where people are coming from, how they're listening. Like,
Oh, that's what you mean by like listener stats. I thought you meant like
right.
we were subscribed to Baseball America or something like that.
No. I'm doing like just to, and it like breaks it down by state and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought that was,
Makes sense.
yeah. I think I'm ready if you guys are.
Sure.
Andy, are you ready?
Yeah.
Andy, do you want to talk some more just so I can make sure you're all right?
I don't really want to
Oh.
talk some more. I'm not feeling that talkative tonight. So I think I'm going to stay quiet if that's okay with you.
Just sit there and look pretty.
Well, I made you quiet last episode apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have one more question before we go. What was his actual injury in 13? Or yeah, 2013.
That
Was it
a
his hip
hamstring,
or
wasn't
his
it?
still his hamstring?
I think
It
it was
was
his
his-
hamstring.
He had a fractured 2013. He had a fractured left tibia.
Right.
As
This
reason.
year.
And this year was the hamstring, yeah.
Yes, this year was the double hamstrings in each leg. He had one in each leg. I mean, he does have one in each leg, but he had an injury.
But he hurt both of them. I'm not super up on the injury stuff, so if I'm stumbling, just jump in.
Andy apparently is up on it.
Yeah. He can just do the whole first bit. But
All right, well, and
what do you say?
I was just looking at the show notes. It says these topics will bleed over so Bert can jump.
You know what's funny? There's a woman on, like, we have design teams at work, and there's a woman on my team named Bert, and a woman, yes, and it's so funny because like we go in order in our call, and she's always before me, and everyone always mixes us up. Like someone will say Bert, and we'll both answer, or Kurt, and we'll both answer. I should just change my lower third to Bert.
and I kind of like BERT compared to BURT.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too.
that's how hers is spelled. I think
Bert?
it's short for
probably like-
something.
For
Probably like
Birdie,
Roberta.
probably.
Yeah,
Roberta.
yeah,
Right.
something like.
Man, we keep clipping. Does it sound to you guys like we're kind of like distorting?
What does clipping mean? I don't
Not really to me.
Okay. Well, maybe we're all right then. I'm just gonna have to keep a better eye on it. Okay. I think I am ready. So here we
Rock and
go.
roll.
Hi, and thanks for downloading this bonus episode of the IVMV podcast. It's the Soler episode. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Corey, and I'm joined by the other two hosts of this podcast through a Google Plus Hangout.
Hey, what's up? It's Andy.
Hey, and Kurt.
We typically record on Sunday evenings, but we wanted to put out a bonus episode since Jorge Soler was called up to the Cubs. And so this episode should be shorter than our regular episodes. I think the three of us are hoping this is shorter than our regular episodes. And we'll talk about Soler. We're going to talk about the rosters for the Arizona Fall League. Those have been released, and we will. We'll be talking about the players from the Cubs organization that will be playing for the Mesa Solar Sox, and we will answer some of the questions submitted by listeners, and then we'll read a few internet muscle flexes. We're doing this episode tonight, even though we had planned to do our Patreon video hangout, because we figured that we'd move that to tomorrow night, since that will be Soler's MLB debut. And if you would like to participate in that and help support our podcast and help us pay the bills, you can go to patreon.com/IVMB. There are perks at every pledging level. That's patreon.com/IVMB. So let's jump right in here, guys. We knew that Soler was probably going to get the call here towards the end of the season, especially as we just talked about, 2 days ago, that Iowa's chances at the postseason were fading, and the front office called on Soler to join the Cubs in Cincinnati, and so his MLB debut game will be tomorrow night. That's Wednesday night. So I was thinking about it today, and I think that Soler is kind of a mystery to Cubs fans, and even those of us that pay a fair amount of attention to the minor league players in the Cubs system. I think a big reason for that is that he really just hasn't played many games, and we're going to get into all that. But I guess if you haven't paid much attention to the minor league system and you're thinking, who is this Soler character that has everyone excited? Not quite as excited as we were for Baez, but still excited. So Soler, he defected from Cuba in 2011. And the Cubs signed him in June of 2012. They signed him to a 9-year, $30 million contract. So Andy, tell us about his trip through the his brief trip through the Cubs minor league system. And it was, I say brief because it was different than the other prospects that have and will be working their way up.
Yeah, it's been a kind of a strange trip for him, and we'll talk about a couple of the reasons why here in a few minutes. But he has been in the Cubs system for parts of 5 seasons, basically, and this year he's already been with 3 different minor league teams, and that's pretty much due to injury. But for this season, he's played in the Cubs Rookie League, and those were rehab games for him. And he's also had time with Tennessee and Iowa. So his 2014 numbers as a whole among all those teams look pretty good. He was batting .340 with a .432 slugging. I'm sorry, on base percentage and a .700 slugging percentage. And he hit 15 home runs for those three teams in total and drove in 57 runs. He, just to give you a sense of his time in the minors and just how much he's been hampered by injuries, he has only had in the minors, he's only had a total of 621 plate appearances over those 5 seasons. And just for
2 of those seasons were in Cuba, right? I mean, he's had 5 professional-ish seasons, right? 3 with the Cubs.
That's not counting his numbers in Cuba.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's, yeah. Right. Correct. Anyway, I wanted to say, as a comparison, Starlin Castro, just for the Cubs this season has had 535 plate appearances. So he hasn't had a ton of looks, and so. But at any rate, he's had put up some pretty good numbers. He struggled a little bit for a period of time this season at Iowa, but by and large, I mean the guy has played very well. He's hit for power. He strikes out a little bit less than some of our more free swinging friends that we've come to know and love. He has for Iowa he has a 23% strikeout rate, which is slightly below average, but for a guy that can hit for some power like him, it's a trade-off that you can deal with.
Andy, before you go any further, and I don't think you mentioned this, how many at-bats does he have? I don't have his stats pulled up, but
Right.
he doesn't have that many at-bats. You talked about his lack of at-bats throughout his entire, short minor league career, but how many of those are at the AAA level? How many did he get this year with Iowa?
For Iowa, he had a total of 127 plate appearances and 110 at-bats.
Right. So that's what he was there basically a month. How many games is that? I should have this.
Yeah, no, it's 32 games total for Iowa. He played 22 for Tennessee, and he was in Arizona in the rookie league for 8 games.
Right. And so I mean, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, but fans that have heard how much this front office and Theo and Jed want players to get a full year at AAA. This is quite the difference for that approach, and basically it's because he's signed to a major league contract. He's been on the 40-man roster since he signed in 2012, and so every year that he's been in the system, it's a year of options that the Cubs have used. So I think he only has, next year, 2015, that's the last year that they can send him down. And so I think they're kind of, if you're wondering about the timing, basically they want to give him a full year. I think where they can move him up or down, move him down and then back up if they need to.
Right. And he is. I mean, it is a 9-year deal, and that's from what I read that's the longest deal in Cubs history. Second would be Soriano's 8-year deal. So it's a pretty unprecedented deal to sign a guy for 9 years. But yeah, the options run out.
Million.
Right. But it's a long-term deal. Like it's very different from like the Cespedes deal, which was 4 years.
Right.
So.
And a lot of the difference there comes because of the age of the players. Like.
Mm-hmm.
Cespedes is older, and some of the other guys as well. But yeah, I meant to say, 2 of the seasons I was mentioning there, and out of the 5 were in Cuba. So I don't know how I got confused on that one, but he's only been in the Cubs system from 2012 to 2014.
Yeah, and the Cuban leagues don't share their stats, so nobody really knows what he did there.
It's like their ages.
Yes, he's actually 35. No, just kidding.
I did see on some borderline muscle flex on Cubs.com something about his Cuban years or his Cuban age or something like that.
Yeah.
We talked about why he doesn't have that much experience in the minor league system. So Kurt, explain that.
Yeah, he has been hampered by a few injuries over the course of a couple of years. The 2013, he actually fractured his tibia, if that's the right bone, and so he missed quite a few games. I think he only played in a total of 55 in Daytona in 2013, and then he had the little incident with the bat and the dugout where he was suspended for a time. So he really didn't get a lot of games last year, and then this year, he after the first game, I believe he was injured. He just played that one game, kind of tweaked his hamstring a little bit, so he sat out a handful of games. I think about a month. Came back in Tennessee, played about another month, and then was hurt again. And that's when they decided they'll just kind of slow him down a little bit, and they sent him to Arizona, where he met up with Manny, and apparently they became pretty good buds. And so he was out there for 7 or 8 games, and then returned to Tennessee early July, I believe, and then was promoted to Iowa in late July. So he's been moving around a lot. So we'll see how he adjusts to sort of being in one place and not having to make those adjustments. And a little more stability should help him. But it looks like he's come back completely healthy, and there haven't been any issues since then. So let's just cross our fingers and hope that those injury issues were short-lived and not
Yeah, and I believe that when we did our interview with John from Cubs Den, I think it was him that kind of talked about that. He did. Who wasn't? And if I'm putting words in his mouth, I feel really bad if I'm getting this wrong. But I believe didn't he talk about that Soler wasn't like his legs weren't exactly, he hadn't worked them out the right way or something. He made some comment about that the Cubs almost had to like kind of train him how to train, and that that might have been part of those leg issues that he had. And also, I mean, one of the questions about Soler, and you see it referenced here and there, is kind of I guess just questions about his hustle and his work ethic. It's plausible that those things could be because of injuries. If you have leg issues and you're recovering, is it really worth trying to beat out a throw for an infield single in Double-A? Probably not, especially if you're on the trajectory that he is on, as far as when the Cubs need him to be completely MLB ready, in a much quicker period of time because of the contract and everything. But so that's I think there are some makeup questions that have some people concerned based on that incident in the Florida State League, and then some questions about his hustle and work ethic. But I really kind of feel like those things are, if those are issues, they'll be pretty apparent, even for the rest of this season. So I don't know. I just, I kind of referenced this at the beginning of the show, but he's just, so much of an unknown, because even those of us that get to minor league games to see Cubs prospects play, we haven't had much of an opportunity to see Soler play. I saw him once in 2012 in Peoria, and
I've never seen him.
I think I was there with you in that game, Corey. I've seen him that one time.
Yeah, and
Also.
I mean, all I could really comment on was, I don't remember him doing much at the plate. I just remember him looking
huge,
like some man among boys. That's kind of a cliche, but man, he's
a big man.
Yes, and it wasn't that he was that much older. So he's 22 now. So he was maybe like 20 then. So a lot of the players in Low A and with what was in Peoria, but now Kane County, there are a lot of 19, 20, 21-year-olds, even some 22-year-olds and stuff. It's that age bracket, and he just looked huge.
He's basically the size of like a college football running back. He's 6'4", 215.
Yeah. And a lot of
that's why I think I've mentioned this before, but if he was born in Florida instead of Cuba, he probably would have never played baseball. Like, he's just such an incredible athlete. And in the US, the best athletes tend to play football or basketball or whatever, or another sport, and it's different in Cuba and the Dominican, and because of that, he's one of those amazing athletes that don't come along often in baseball, or often enough in baseball, and I think that's what really drew the Cubs to him. And I think also it's part of what the Cubs are working on, and maybe we overanalyze some of the discipline and the hustle and all that. Like, you got to remember, he came from Cuba, where he was in that system. He knew nothing else. He was never in a real professional organized system outside of their national team, and he's got to learn everything.
Right.
How, like you mentioned earlier, how to train, how to play, how to prepare, all that stuff.
Well,
and
then
so
you've got all the cultural stuff too.
Yeah, and if a guy doesn't hustle once in a while, I think we're too quick to label him as makeup issues. And I think since then he's sort of proven that he's really receptive to learning, and I think he's doing well. I'm not saying he won't have any issues, but I do think that some of it was overblown, and he didn't help himself out by going after the other team with the bat. But
honestly, that is, I think that I I think that Cuban players are quick to have that thrown at them, that lack of hustle thing, and and it might be, I would guess a large percentage of baseball players at some point kind of ease up or slack a little bit, and
Except for Hunter Pence, right?
That's right, exactly. But he it just seems like, I've heard this talked about recently, that it seems like it's a very quick thing that's thrown out there when Cuban players are being discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question for you guys is, what do you expect from Jorge Soler this season?
It's hard to pin down numbers. I think he'll hit for a okay average, like 250 maybe, and at this point it's really just at bats. I don't have any real expectations of, like, if he doesn't perform to this level, I will be disappointed. I mean, you're going to see flashes of some ridiculous easy power, unlike, when you see Baez swing, you see the power there, where I think you'll see the contrast fairly quickly with Soler, where the power's there, but it's a little more subtle. Obviously, he's a huge dude, like we described, but he's not going to be falling to his knees when he swings.
And he has pretty awesome bat speed too, apparently.
Yeah, and a better approach. So at this point, like, I don't want to predict a ton of numbers. You'll see home runs, that's for sure, and a better average probably than maybe Baez, because of his more mature approach, I guess.
He takes more walks too.
Yeah,
just in general.
In
Iowa, he walked 17 times in 127 plate appearances.
Right, and that's something that he's really kind of developed recently. In low A and high A, his walk rate was around, like, it was 7% in low A, 9% in high A. But then this year in Double A, it was over 15%, and then at Triple A, it was 13.5%.
Yeah, and that's really good, actually.
Right, that's very good, especially for somebody that has a lot of power, and you kind of expect them to be a little bit more free swinging. And Andy, you mentioned his strikeout rate earlier, and about 20%. I mean, I think you put that into context, and Baez's with Iowa was what, 35%, I think.
Yeah, about 30.
Yeah, so a lot more.
Average is right around, I think, 17 to 18%. So
yeah,
among major leaguers at least. So that kind of gives you a sense of where he's at there.
Right, and we'll see more because he's young and he's going to get fooled, but he's got power. He's a more patient hitter than Baez. I don't know. But at the same time, like, we talk about his walk rates and everything, and I mean, it's kind of, you kind of have to add the small sample size caveat, because there isn't much to draw from. I'm not going to play the song, guys, but
merciful.
Well, and not to completely ignore the fact that defensively you're going to see a hell of an arm too. Apparently and again, I've never seen him play, but from what I'm reading, that his arm is one of the better arms you're going to see in the outfield, at least as far as arm strength and throwing ability. So that'll be exciting to see too. Like, you won't see a lot of guys running on his arm after he establishes himself.
Yeah. But I think we should see a decently patient hitter, and I think he can give the Cubs a good on-base percentage. But I think it's kind of unrealistic to expect him to jump into the majors and draw a ton of walks, like to be a walk guy right now. And even just to get on base a lot. He's 22 years old with less than a season of professional baseball experience. So. I don't know. Honestly,
it is worth noting, though, that throughout his career he's had a pretty good on-base percentage.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, I hope he can kind of grow into those same type of numbers in the majors, because the Cubs could really use, some players like him among the Castros and the Baez's of the team, guys that are a little bit more disciplined.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be a nice contrast in that lineup.
And honestly, I'm not too concerned with seeing his power here for the rest of the season. I guess I'd rather see him continue to be patient at the plate. I'd rather see him not get fooled by pitching and just get on base. And Kurt, you mentioned he's got a vicious swing um, that does seem a little less labored, I guess, than Baez's. I don't really know the right term to use, but he definitely has power. But I really would just like to see, because like you said, Andy, because the Cubs could use a batter like that is patient and kind of. I mean, we have a little bit of patience on the team. There's a little bit right now. Valbuena and Rizzo seems to work good counts and everything. So. And the benefit of doing that, of being a patient hitter, is that you can work pitchers into sticky situations where you pretty much know what you're going to get because you've been able to work a certain count and everything. So,
But it is going to be awesome the first time he crushes one. Out on the waveland.
But he's not. I mean, he doesn't really project to be. From what I've seen, I don't think he projects to be the Bryant and the Baez type power.
I don't think his home run totals will be as high, but he has that strength and power to hit it as far.
Right, yeah.
So he may not hit as many, but
it's still a tool that he possesses. You won't see it as often.
Yeah.
Right.
But seeing some videos, he can hit it a long ways.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to talk about? I mean, we're going to get back to Soler, but with the listener questions. But the other news of today was that the Cubs, well, I guess the Cubs in Major League Baseball or the Arizona Fall League released the rosters, and the Cubs will be sending position players Addison Russell, Dan Vogelbach, and Jacob Hanneman, and pitchers C.J. Edwards, Zach Cates. Is it Ivan or Ivan? I don't know. Pinheiro and Gerardo Concepcion. And opening day is October 7th, and then the championship game is on November 15th. So, the season's 5 or 6 weeks long. It seems like last year, I believe they played the All-Star game and the championship game on MLB.com. On the MLB Network, but I think that they show a few other games too. So, it's not impossible to watch this. This isn't like the Arizona Rookie League or anything like that, where you just kind of have to rely on firsthand accounts as to what happened. So, should be some coverage of it and everything. And I really think that Addison Russell and C.J. Edwards, those are the two players that I am most interested in tracking. Both of them missed significant time this season. And so this is kind of to get them more innings and more at bats, and it's a very similar situation as to what Jorge Soler was in last year. That was he was involved in the Arizona Fall League basically because he had missed so much time during the regular season, and he got healthy right at the end of the minor league season, and so he came back and played that. But and then also as far as them including Vogelbach goes, I think this is really kind of an opportunity for the Cubs to show him off a little bit. He's a player you would imagine that the Cubs could be shopping. So, so anything you guys want to talk about with any of those players? And I'm also interested just because of his interesting storyline. I'm interested in seeing Gerardo Concepcion because I've seen him pitch, and it hasn't been good.
Yeah, that was the other name that stood out to me. Hopefully that guy can figure something out.
Right.
Yeah, how old is he now? Like how long is he?
I don't know. I mean,
I think he's 22 maybe.
Maybe, and I should mention that. I mean, I kind of acted like he's been bad when I've seen him play. I haven't seen him play for a while, so
he's 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's had some.
He's also got another. I don't remember exactly what that contract was, but it was another somewhat long-term deal. Tonight's kind of rare, guys, and that we're recording on a Tuesday night. and I am actually drinking beer. And I meant to ask you guys, what are you drinking?
Oh wow,
I mean, this
I
is a
have no-
bonus episode, so we can do whatever we want. Although, if you notice, like, I think our tone is way more serious tonight.
Yeah, I feel a little bit subdued. I think it's the weight of the world. It's the
we don't have like the normally we're recording on a Sunday night. We're relaxed from the weekend and everything. I got work on
of the weekend.
right. I got work on the brain. I got thinking about everything I need to do tomorrow.
I don't have a beverage. I got nothing to share with you.
Oh man.
I have water with a fresh lemon slice in it.
Delicious. I love that brewery. It's lemon slice.
Yeah.
I'm drinking Red Hook Audible Ale, and the only reason I bought it is because it says it's a crushable ale brewed with collaboration with Dan Patrick in the Dan Patrick Show. And I am not a fan of the Dan Patrick Show necessarily. I don't have anything wrong with him, but I'm not really into it.
Crushable ale. I don't even know what that means.
What the heck does that mean?
I don't know, but I just figured
just chug it.
why not buy it if it's
If
I
it's
thought,
so
well,
crushable.
and we're doing we're on mics tonight. It's Audible, so why not do Audible
Crushing
Ale?
There you go.
I was thinking maybe you don't like to live life by the strict playbook. You like to call your own plays.
Yeah, that's me.
You're a rebel.
Calling audibles all over the place.
Peyton
Life is
Manning
one
over
big
there.
audible. All right, so let's get to some listener questions here. Dawn says, my question isn't about Soler, but I'm reading the morning MLB news about Yu Darvish, and I just can't help worrying about the Cubs signing a huge name in the offseason. Darvish, Strasburg, Harvey are just the tip of the iceberg. Should we really go after an established and possibly overworked arm like Scherzer or Lester, or can we be competitive with what we have?
Yeah, I don't know. This concern doesn't worry me as much. Mostly because I mean the amount of room they have to spend. I think what the payroll's at under 90 million at this point, and you look at some of the top teams like the Dodgers and Yankees are well above 200 million, and the Cubs aren't quite there yet. But with the new revenues coming in, they've got so much room to spend and so many cheap players coming onto the roster that are under team control. It just doesn't concern me. I mean, if we're just talking about money, I mean, there's always risk that a elite pitcher doesn't pan out or falls off the face of the earth like Verlander or something like that. But from the money side, I'm just not too concerned about it.
Yeah, this is the cheapest payroll the Cubs have had since 2005. 2005 they had an 87 million and some change payroll.
I should know this, but don't they only have isn't it only 69
Yeah.
so far for next year or something
Yeah, because
like
isn't
that?
some of the Soriano deal this is the last year of part of that?
Yeah, because they're paying $14 million this
Yeah.
year for that, and then there's a couple of other players they're paying on who I don't remember.
But yeah, it's I don't know. They just got a lot of room to spend. But then I mean the performance side, I think that's just a risk you have to take. You know.
Yeah,
there are only
I don't
so many
know.
elite pitchers, I think, and I think you need one. And the Cubs don't have one right now in their system, so you're going to have to buy one or trade for one.
They could probably be somewhat competitive without one, but to really put the club over the top, I think they need one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I do
I
too.
see what you're saying. I just, I've said this on previous episodes. Pitching, and more specifically, big money pitching, it just makes me nervous. And seeing the injuries that all these pitchers have had and everything, and I don't know. I mean, I know that they have the money, and so they need to go spend it. I get that, and I know that they're position player wise, they're pretty much okay. Or could potentially be okay. There could be some gaps or some holes in there with certain prospects not panning out or whatever, but I don't know. It just makes me nervous. And
It's always a risk, but I mean, you got to think about how, we were kind of expecting maybe 2015 to be competitive, 2016 to be more of a year they could really go for it. And so if they do sign a guy to a long-term contract, let's say there is an injury in there, they're still going to have plenty of other years within that contract that he's going to be able to go out there and do some work.
Yeah. I guess I kind of I don't know. We could talk about this forever.
But the other side of it is I don't see them making any real stupid moves either, because you look at what they did with Samardzija. They had a number in mind.
Right.
They said this
That's
is
a
what
good
you're
point,
worth to
yeah.
us, and here's it was around 17 million, I suppose, and he wasn't willing to take that. So they said okay.
Right. So I see no problem with I'm a little bit more comfortable with the Cubs going out and getting somebody that would maybe fall into the number 2 category that wouldn't cost quite so much. Maybe you could do a little bit shorter of a deal. But then again, I guess Edwin Jackson could kind of fall into, 2 or 3 classification, and look how that turned out. So I don't know. I think I would definitely I think if the Cubs hadn't over the last couple of years really mastered this, we're gonna pull out this pitcher and he's gonna blow everyone away for this period of time. I think if they hadn't been so, if we didn't have Arrieta and we hadn't had some of those other pitchers that, right now, I'm not saying Hendricks and Arrieta and those guys can carry a team to the playoffs, but man, they're pitching pretty damn well. And I guess I wonder if but at the same time, because I'm thinking well, what if they can get into the season and find out if they really need that pitcher? But then what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a situation where you're overpaying and you're trading away prospects. I would rather see them go out and do that on the free agent market,
for sure.
where they're not giving up anybody.
Right.
But because of their history, that you said that they've had with being able to find value, and among the scrap heap of pitchers, they're not going to make a rash decision or a stupid decision. It's going to, if nothing makes sense, they'll try to do what they've done the past few years instead of just grabbing somebody just to grab somebody. But if it makes sense, they're going to pull the trigger.
Yeah, because I don't think. We for the most part don't know what it's like to have that super elite top number 1 guy. They've always just kind of whoever. Yeah.
Carlos Zambrano.
Yeah.
Don't you remember
whoever was around got to be the number 1 starter. Who wants to start opening day? But think about a Cole Hamels type pitcher. We don't know what that's like to have that.
But wouldn't
so? That's a little bit exciting if they were to land somebody like that.
Yeah, I guess you just know that you're getting them right at that. Most of those pitchers, they become free agents around age 27, 28, 29. You're getting them at their peak, and there's only a downside after that. And so that's why I would like to see if they. It's going to be hard to get those pitchers on 4 or 5 year deals. I don't know, 4-year deals. I don't know. That's what I would be comfortable with. But it's going to be hard to do.
It's going to be risky, but they can afford the risk.
Yeah. Moving on, James says over or under on Soler first 2 game home runs in Cincinnati. And he sets the over under at 2. And he said he's taking the over. And he says hash pad, launching pad, Great American Ballpark.
Did you say hash pad?
Hash pad.
Did I?
I think so.
It's a
launching
hash pad.
hashtag launching pad. There we go.
I wonder. So this question. Was this question asked before we knew he wouldn't play tonight?
Well, he said first two
games.
So, I suppose, yeah. There's still.
I'm going to say under. I think he'll hit 1.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Really?
I think 1.
I think the ballpark is very home run friendly. If I remember right, Soler did hit a home run, I think, in his first spring training at bat. So, I'm sure he wants to kind of make his mark. But I'm going under. I don't think he hits a home run this weekend or this week in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't see him hitting over 2. That's for sure.
Yeah. Josh from New Jersey says, "Do you think Soler will be on the team next year?" As I mentioned earlier, the Cubs can send Soler back to the minors next season.
Yeah. But the thing is he's one of the few prospects where there's not even really a placeholder very much blocking his position.
I don't know, man. If he's got.
You think Ruggiano's the man of the future?
He's got Ryan Sweeney right on his tail.
Ryan Sweeney riding his butt. Yeah, he's on the team.
Yeah,
I think.
Yep. Yeah, he'll break camp.
Yeah, I think calling him up now gives them a little bit more flexibility with identifying the things that he needs to work on, and then sending him down to maybe tweak those things. And I think it really all depends on how he plays this season and how he plays in spring training. And like Baez, he'll get to see major league pitching and make those adjustments in the off season. But if he's playing well in spring training, I don't see any reason that they would send him down. But I do kind of wonder if even though there isn't anybody breathing down his neck necessarily in the outfield, I kind of wonder if because of his situation with next year being the last year they can send him down. I kind of wonder if they won't be real quick to pull the trigger on doing that, just to give him, not letting him slump for too long, but okay, he's starting to slump, or they identify something he needs to work on, and okay, let's send him somewhere where he can work on that. And I don't know. I kind of wonder if that might affect how they handle him.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, it sounds plausible.
Yeah. Clint says, with Soler coming up, do you think this is pretty much our 2015 opening day roster?
That's I think so for the most part.
Close.
Some left field could be up in the air. I mean, I don't know about Coughlin's future.
I don't know. I think he'll be there.
I mean, he's been pretty solid. He hasn't played quite as well, in the past month and a half or so or whatever. But they're probably going to have a new pitcher or two. Probably a couple different faces on the pitching staff. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of changes.
No.
Yeah, I would see addition of a pitcher maybe, and then potentially Mike Old at third, depending on how he plays in the spring.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I think they'll probably try to get him into the opening day lineup.
Yeah. But
otherwise,
yeah.
But I think you're right, Andy. I also think that they will look at the outfield, and just tonight, Sahadev Sharma was on Sportsnet Live, or whatever that thing's called, Dave Kaplan's show. I can never.
Let's never figure out what it is.
Yeah, let's just call it whatever pops in your head.
Chicago Sports Day Night Live.
That sports face.
Kaplan Baseball Daily.
But he and Sahadev Sharma was talking about, that they will probably go out and try to get a veteran, for kind of the leadership aspect of things and everything. And I think that if they're going to do that, it would probably be an outfielder. And so that's why I think, you might be right, Andy, that maybe Coughlin isn't necessarily starting if they're able to go out and from what I can remember, I looked at the what free agents were available, and it doesn't seem like it's a very good year around baseball.
We have a certain prospect, Rotting, down in the minors, who can play left field pretty capably at the age of 42 or 43, however old he is.
No, I don't think so.
Talking about Manny Wood, left field bleachers.
I thought maybe you were going to think about Ian Stewart can slide into the outfield.
He's ROTT in hell.
He's ROTTED. Benjamin says Castro, Alcantara, and now Soler have made their debuts in Cincinnati. Do the Cubs debut a lot of players there, or is it just me? Is there an advantage to doing this in Cincinnati specifically, or on the road in general?
Len and JD were just talking about this on the broadcast tonight, about guys who've made their debuts at Cincy. They showed the video of Castro's. I don't think it's Cincinnati in particular, but I do think the road, for sure. I think it eases a little bit of that pressure on your debut.
Okay, well, I mean,
the road's so bleak, though. I mean, you guys aren't talking about the novel? Okay, sorry.
I mean, imagine, the hype with Baez's call-up was big enough. Can you imagine if that would have happened in Chicago rather than Denver? I don't know. I think it's a good idea to give players a few games under their belts before going into the media frenzy of Chicago. And as far as Cincinnati specifically goes, I have no idea, but I kind of doubt that they hold off on call-ups until the nearest series at the Reds.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just say it's a coincidence.
Yeah.
Look at the pretty boat.
It was a bit of a surprise. Sorry, it was a bit of a surprise. Like Soler's all the way out in Tacoma, Washington,
right,
and they pull him out of a game super late to let him know, and then fly him to Cincinnati. That was a little bit strange, but
yeah, it was so ridiculous too. I mean, not to get into my personal life here at all, but I was like last night. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go to bed early. This is gonna be really nice because Sunday nights I end up staying up late trying to get this thing posted and everything. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to bed. And of course, I look at Twitter and I'm like, God damn it! I wanted to go to sleep, and now this is going on. So I was up late. So Anu says, I hope they call up Olt soon. I haven't given up hope on him just yet. It would be great if he could hold down the job at third, and then we could move Bryant to left field. Castro, Rizzo, Soler, Olt, Bryant could be the most productive core lineup in the majors next year. And then before we answer or kind of comment on that, JP commented. He says, "Did Olt really need to go down, or had they listened to you guys from the beginning and played him?" Or had they listened to you guys from the beginning and played him every day, would he have wound up at least doing half as awesome as he's been in Des Moines?
No. Corey, that was fairly early when Corey
front
was.
Office should never listen to us. Like if
Yeah.
they're listening, turn around, turn this thing off.
No, I think he had plenty of opportunities with the Cubs.
Yeah.
I think they were giving him a shot to earn the everyday spot, and he didn't quite do it. So.
Yeah.
Now he has rebuilt his value in Iowa somewhat, I would say. I mean, he's played very well there. I mean, so he still could be an asset for the Cubs. So that's the good news.
Yeah, and he should be back on September 1st, right? I mean,
well, okay. Did he get injured? It's
just recently.
I think he did actually.
yeah.
Now I think about it.
I don't know exactly. I don't have any idea what the injury was, or if it's something that might keep him out an extended period of time or what. But yeah, I don't know. Like Anu says, I haven't given up hope on him. I think I'm not ready to give up hope. I would just say I'm not necessarily expecting great things from him.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Like I really hope that he does, because I think that it does. It doesn't, like, if he can be what the Cubs would like him to be, he's right. I mean, Castro, Rizzo, Soler, Olt, Bryant, that's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
certainly a lot of power.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be tough for him though. There's not. I mean, the two spots that he can play are pretty well,
right.
Spoken for, except for unless he can bump Bryant to the outfield and take third.
Right. Yeah. Bobby says, where do you see Soler and Baez batting in the order long term? I haven't followed where Soler has been batting in Iowa. Also, I feel like Baez is more of a number 5 guy, but they've got him second in order to get him more bats, as well as some protection while he gets his feet wet in the majors. What are your thoughts? So, when in Iowa, when Baez, Bryant, and Soler were there, they were batting 3, 4, 5. 3 Baez, 4 Bryant, 5 Soler, or at least they started out that way. And I think that Soler had been hitting cleanup when he was there.
But I think
at least recently.
But I do think he probably projects to be a little more towards the middle, like a 5-6.
You're talking about Soler,
right? Yeah, like a 5. I'd see him 5.
Well, I don't know. I kind of like him. I don't know. Man, isn't it like...
And this is a fun problem to have.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, when was the last time we had any discussion about what our batting order should be?
I saw somebody on Twitter said the Cubs, the middle of the order for the Cubs is 2 through 8 or something.
Yeah, seriously.
It's going to be 2 through 8.
I think I kind of like him higher up in the order because of his on-base percentage. So I think we could maybe see Soler move to where Baez is now, and maybe see Baez drop a bit in the order. At this point in the season, I think Bobby. I think you're right. I think it's about getting at bats, and so far it's been about getting Baez at bats. And so, as far as this year goes, I'm really not too concerned about what the order is, or anything like that. But I don't know. It's just it's like it's so nice to see these late season call ups rather than the call ups we've seen in previous years. I just don't care where they hit. It's just nice.
It's because it's so hard to figure out. Proves how crazy this lineup's going to be.
And how dumb we are.
Well, the next question, Shy Cubs dude asks if we like Soler better 2, 4, 5 in the lineup, and I do like him better at 2 than I like Baez there personally.
Me too.
But yeah, I think 3. He's not. Any of these guys are going to land in the 3-4 spot next year, except unless it's Bryant at 4. I don't think.
Yeah.
If Old is there at the beginning of the season, next season I could see him hitting 4.
Maybe.
Yeah. We got a whole off season to talk about that.
Yeah, but it's gonna be crazy if like Castro's batting 7th.
Right. Jeremiah says, "How do you feel Wrigley will handle the conversion from standard AC electrical to solar power?" Adam, I hope I pronounced this right. Adam Cornegay on Twitter, he says, "Who has the best smile, Soler or Bryant? Bryant has the sparkle, but Soler seems so damn happy."
Yeah, he does smile a lot.
He does. He's got a nice smile.
Yeah. Both handsome fellas.
I think Bryant's pretty good looking, but my wife, she's already declared that she's declared that she's a Javi girl.
Oh man!
Oh really?
I know, and that kind of surprised me. I didn't expect that.
I haven't asked my wife. Maybe I'll run her some headshots.
I don't know. I'm gonna go with Bryant's though. I don't know. You do like a guy that's just like an easy smile. So I think it comes down to whoever has the easiest smile, not necessarily the best.
The most violent. Who has the most violent smile?
Tom says, "Where's he going to play? What's his batting average going to be at the end of the season? Is he handsome?"
Well, we covered that last part.
Check on the handsome.
Yeah,
he is handsome.
He's going to play right field. That's where he played in Iowa. Doesn't have to worry about reducing anyone valuable's playing time there.
Right.
I think Kurt already mentioned his batting average at the end of the next season, somewhere between 250 and 275.
Yeah. I'm going to guess 260 and then kind of an OBP of like 305 or 310.
Yeah, I'd be okay. I would probably put, somewhere between 250, 260, something like that. But
DeRose, a writer for the website, he says, "I think we all know what to call a Soler home run," and then he says #Soler flare. Adam Cornegay has another one here from Twitter, and he says, "How do the call-ups for Baez and Soler affect their eligibility for Rookie of the Year in 2015? #not a movie reference." Because you're always eligible to watch Rookie of the Year. There's no.
Their rookie seasons are still intact, right?
No, not necessarily. I did look into this. Did you guys?
Oh, no, I just assumed they were.
Okay, so I may have this wrong, but this is my understanding. So you are a rookie unless in a previous season you had more than 130 at bats, 50 innings pitched, or if you had more than 45 days on the active roster. So Baez going into today's game, he had 86 at bats and 20 games. So he came up on August 5th. So that puts him at like 53 games. 53 games, something like that on the active roster. If he stays on the roster, doesn't go on the DL, and so he'll go over as far as days on the roster, and he probably will go over on at bats too. So Baez won't be eligible to win the Rookie of the Year next year. And Soler, he'll be fine with days on the roster. It's going to depend on at bats. So if he plays every day, I'd say he'll probably go over. The cutoff is 130 at bats, and if he plays every game and gets an average of 4 at bats per game, that's 124 at bats. But if he bats higher up in the order, he'll probably get more like 4.3 at bats. That's what Baez has been. That's what he's gotten in the 2-hole. So if Soler gets 4.3 at bats per game, that's 137 at bats. So it puts him over a little bit. But all it takes is him not starting a few games in the month, and he may stay under and keep his rookie status.
But at the same time, don't worry about it too much. Giovanni
Right.
Soto.
right.
Chris Coughlin.
Chris Coughlin, yeah.
Todd Hollandsworth was Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, right. But it would be cool, and I honestly, I think that Soler will keep his rookie status. I think it'll happen. But Baez won't. So that's my understanding of it. I could be wrong, and if I am, tell me. Nick from Wisconsin, he says, I have not heard how his health has been and whether he still seems to be playing somewhat reservedly to protect his legs. So yeah, we kind of talked about that earlier, and I honestly am not sure. I haven't heard much about that, and I think, I guess we'll see.
I think he's 100%. I mean,
yeah, I think
that's why they sent him to Arizona to just like take it easy and take your time, and then they brought him back when he's healthy, and I think he's been fine since.
Yeah. JP says everyone loves to get on Javi for not walking, Bert. Yet it seems
I don't know if Bert does that.
Yet it seems whenever I look at the box scores for the night from Boise all the way up to Wrigley, all of our teams have goose eggs up there under bases on balls. Here's the question. Is this part of the new Cubs way? So I went and looked at how those teams in the Cubs minor league system rank in walks. So Boise ranks number 2 out of 8. Kane County is the worst, and they're number 13 out of 16. Daytona is number 2 out of 12. Tennessee is number 4 out of 10. Iowa is number 8 out of 16, and then the Cubs are number 21 out of 30. So Boise and Daytona and Tennessee are all doing pretty well with that. So I don't know. I think the Cubs would like to see their players take a lot of pitches and draw walks. But in trying to capitalize on the shortage of power throughout baseball by stockpiling power bats, those aren't necessarily the guys that are going to draw a ton of walks by grinding out long at bats like Valbuena does. So I don't know. But then again, that power bat contingency, I guess, is, that's kind of the top prospects, not necessarily a system-wide thing. So
Bryant walked 4 times the other night. So
yeah, right.
You're going to see as many intentional walks as you are
right
unintentional walks. But
yeah.
So the Cubs lineup, it's going to be hard to pick a guy to intentionally walk.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Well, let's put Rizzo on base. Oh crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, I looked at just the overall team rankings and walks. I didn't look at individuals, but my guess would be that there are those role guys that do get walks. And we've seen what happens when you try to change a player who, and try to change him so that he does get more walks and a higher OBP. We saw what happened with Castro. So I don't think we're going to see, if you're thinking about Baez and players like that, I don't think we're going to see the Cubs necessarily try to change who they are, especially right now. Nate says, I am more excited about Soler's promotion than I am Baez because, like Andy, I think Baez is only okay at best.
That's right.
But in all seriousness, I'm really glad to see Soler up because his approach is exactly what Theo likes and what usually equals long-term success. Can it be tomorrow already? So, we're only a couple hours from tomorrow. Hang tight. We'll get there. Yeah. Bob from Ottawa, Illinois says, Dave Kaplan said today he sees Bryant moving to right field, he sees Bryant moving to right field. Schwarber is starting to rake in Daytona, and Billy McKinney has been over 300 all year at Daytona, and don't forget Al Mora. So where do you guys see Soler long term? With that logjam in the outfield, who will be our 3 outfielders, say, 2 years from now?
First of all, I don't understand why he thinks that Bryant would play right instead of left.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know. I
But
think I think Soler is gonna, and I think it's gonna be rough for Soler. I mean, you mentioned earlier, Kurt, he has a strong arm, but right field is not easy to play at Wrigley Field, especially in those day games. But I think Soler is gonna stick at right field. So I don't know why Kaplan said that. Um, but who would you guys say would be the three outfielders in 2 years?
well, ideally, like if the prospects reach their ceiling, or show that they're going on their way there, I would say Albert Almora would be the center fielder. So where does that leave Arizmendi? Well, I mean, that's what the Cubs have been doing, is collecting assets, and they're going to have a lot of good players, in certain positions, and so some of these guys are going to get moved. So it's really hard to say, but Albert Almora center, Soler right, and I thought Bryant left, but maybe I don't know
Well, I mean,
something.
that's really kind of if Olt can hold down third. So
Right.
if Olt doesn't, then that frees up a spot.
In the
I read today somewhere that Schwarber is probably more likely to, if the outfield is looking okay, Schwarber is probably going to get more time throughout the system at catcher. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I mean, I understand. Like, it's kind of fun to look at and to think about, but I think these things really just kind of play themselves out, or work themselves out. I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about it. And if the Cubs have too many players, then that's when you trade for pitching or you trade for, something else that you need. So,
really quickly, who's BA? Neil Ramirez. Dude is a beast, man. I know I can't call the game that's going on
Is he
right
pitching
now,
right now?
the dude is an animal.
this just in, Neil Ramirez is BA.
Yeah, Baracus.
Okay, let's see. I think that's it as far as questions. I didn't miss anything, did I? I don't think I did.
That's the last one I see on the notes.
All right. So, of course, this episode went way longer than I thought it would. I was like, yeah, well, I bet it'll be like a half hour.
We're not capable of a half hour.
No. We shove a half hour of content into an hour long.
Yeah,
episode.
it's like magic.
Okay, so do you guys have I thought, there's surely going to be some good internet muscle flexes. Do you guys have anything?
I found one. Yeah,
I don't.
Okay, I have three.
mine is about Edwin Jackson. Do you have one about
Okay.
him?
Mine are all about Soler. Mine are all
Okay.
from the Soler article.
Okay.
How about I'll do a couple? I'll do two. You can do one, then, or yeah.
Okay.
I'll do two. Let's see. Which one do I want to save till the end? Oh crap. I don't know. Anyways, I guess neither of them are that good. Okay, so the first one says no flights out of Seattle till morning. Also need to get his stuff from the hotel, and I am curious on how they get their stuff from place to place they are staying in from their stuff from the place they are staying at in Iowa to Chicago. Do they put them up in a hotel? How does that work? And then the next person said they have a row of cots from the Army surplus store under the bleachers. They can free up one by just by making one of the grounds crews sleep on the cement.
Or under the tarp.
Okay, I'll do another one here. So the first person says, why Soler and not Bryant, or both? Bryant is having just about as good a year as anyone in baseball, but still sits in Iowa while lesser talent gets called up. Is it just about money? Why isn't why isn't Mike Olt back? He seems to have discovered his swing. Why are these other guys? Why these other guys and not the ones having a good year? Why? And the second person said, why not just burn Des Moines down while you're at it?
Oh man. You ready for this one about Edwin?
I'll tell you what. Why don't you just let me finish? Because I think that this one came from.
Listen, I'm going to let you finish, but this
Right.
muscle flex is the best muscle flex ever.
I'm gonna let you take us out, but I think this one. The reason I want to keep going is because I think that this came from the same thread.
Of course.
So the person that said, "Why don't you burn down Des Moines while you're at it?" He said, "This post is what's wrong with Cubs fans. Jed/Theo know more than you do. Sit back, wait, and watch." And then the next person comes in and says, ... and finish your Kool-Aid. And then someone comes in after and says, "Yes, take some Kool-Aid. It's grape, and everyone is drinking it. You should. It's so sweet and tasty. Drink it in. Yes, that's it." And then in parentheses it says, "Evil old man Ricketts laugh."
Oh my god. People are still planting their flag there.
Yes.
It's like you're
Yeah.
going to die on that beach still.
Yep.
Good lord.
The Cubs will have actually won, something, and they'll still be pissed
Right.
off about the way they did it.
Wrigley's full of people drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
They're in the playoffs.
Yeah. They
Look
did
at
the
those,
win.
look at those rah-rahs cheering on a playoff team.
You just have to laugh at it, right? I mean, otherwise I'm going to get angry.
I just picture them being in the playoffs, and then like people being excited, and then those like that group still like, "Oh, what a bunch of rah-rahs."
Looking like
Just Theo and Co. fanboys.
Keep it up, shickets.
they're all looking like Jack White at a baseball game. Maybe all those posts are Jack White. He has 46 screen names on Cubs.com. He just posts.
Oh man, that would be a great like thought bubble.
And then he
Over
writes
it just
songs.
it just says rah-rahs.
Yes. Oh yes.
Oh, man.
Okay, so go ahead, Andy.
Okay. This is going to seem anticlimactic now, but this is about Edwin Jackson. All right, the first commenter says, "I truly hope Jackson is not giving any pitching tips to the youngsters. God forbid," and about 1 million exclamation points. All right, and then here's a response. "I'm pretty sure Jackson can give them better tips than you can." And then another commenter goes, "Maybe at a restaurant."
It doesn't even make sense. Oh my gosh.
Just saying that
I have no idea why I found that so hilarious.
Edwin has a lot more money than he does.
Oh God. Whew. Good one, Andy. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, well, that does it for this bonus episode. Thanks for downloading it. And again, if you're an eligible Patreon supporter, don't forget about our hangout on Wednesday night, tomorrow night, for Soler's MLB debut. The game starts around 6 Central, and I'll get the room going at about 5:30. So we will be back on Sunday for a regular episode, and until then, go Cubs. Oh man, I have no idea why I found that so funny.
It goes on.
I think I think I just didn't see it coming.
Awesome.
Taylor just he posted in the chat. Cubs won the World Series. What a fluke.
And if they win, or I should say when they win tonight, they're only going to be 3.5 behind the Reds.
I know. It's
They
exciting.
could bump them into last. That would be so amazing. Like before the end of the year. Sweep this series and they'll be game behind them?
Oh gosh, I would love to finish in front of the Reds.
I know. One of the new guys at my office is a Reds fan. Grew up in Ohio.
I know some good Reds fans, but I still
Yeah,
root
he's
for
actually
Reds.
he's a pretty decent guy, and he's like he jabs at me in a fun way, not in like a
Right. Yeah.
douchey jerk way, but like fun.
Right.
Uh,
That's that Cardinals fan I work with. He's the same way.
yeah.
I mean, like he's not obnoxious about it or anything like that.
He does like to show me memes a lot, and I'm like, and he thinks they're hilarious. And I'm like, yep, I've seen that one. It's always the same stuff. But
Like lolcats.
Oh man. Well, I'm sorry I went so late, guys.
That's all
It's
right.
okay.
I'll just sneak up to my bedroom and hope she doesn't notice.
Hey, careful there.
Sorry, I'm up late.
Oh, I'm sure she won't notice.
She never does.
Oh, Ryan Sweeney sneaking up.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hey,
I'm using up my IVMB quota.
hey, Andy, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
This is kind of a continuation of our barber discussion on Sunday night.
Oh yeah.
Do you know anybody that goes to Ray's?
Oh, the one on the Avenue.
Oh, that commercial.
I don't
His
think
barbershop.
I've known anybody who's gone there. But I'm sure it'd be a good place to go.
Somebody at work said that. Yeah, somebody at work said that they had heard it was like that they do a really good job there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I bet it would be.
Okay, I gotta find the. Have you seen the commercial for that place?
For Ray's.
Oh god,
Is it
oh,
bad?
it's so bad.
I think at one point I approached them about advertising on our podcast,
Let's see if it was on YouTube, but I don't see
like
it.
when they first opened, because it kind of had like a sports, like it wasn't like Big League Barber sports, but it was kind of like I don't know, kind of a different vibe, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But all right. Oh, Andy, I was going to ask you, when are you guys coming out this weekend?
Well, kind of trying to figure that out. Were you thinking that like this weekend could be like whenever people can come out, or like?
That's kind of what I was thinking, and then I realized that I will most likely not be here Friday night because, I mean, I can be, but the girls' school is playing Cuba in football.
Oh,
And so I kind of wanted to go to that.
It's a long travel.
Yeah, yeah. So I was kind of thinking about going to that, but if I don't, I mean, if people want to come out here Friday night, that's no big deal.
yeah. See, because I could make it Saturday. I could just come on Saturday rather than Friday. I guess.
Well, I mean, if you want to do both, I mean, it's fine. I mean, either we could just go over to that game for a while, or I could just skip it. I mean, like I said, it's supposed to be like 85 degrees and rainy, so it's not like
Right.
I'm not big on August football games, but I thought it would be kind of cool to go to it.
Yeah, I'm down if I end up coming on Friday. I'm also trying to see if Jason Gerber wants to come down.
Oh yeah, definitely. That'd be
And
awesome.
so I'm waiting to hear back from him on when he could possibly come too. But yeah, if Friday ends up working out, like I wouldn't mind going to that either. I think that'd be pretty fun, honestly.
Okay.
I
Kurt,
know
do you
one
guys
thing
have
is
plans this weekend?
Yeah, we got a ton going on this weekend, and we have a wedding out of town next weekend.
Oh yeah. I think none of the Smith brothers are coming out this time because it's that Aussie guy's wedding.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude's getting married. Yeah, we're still live. Don't take it.
He's actually, I don't know, he kind of rubbed me wrong
No, I don't
like
know
when I
him.
first met him, but like he's actually really nice.
Yeah, I like him, but one thing I know for sure is I will not be there to record in studio on Sunday night.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I didn't really know. I think Bob and Lindsay aren't coming out till Saturday.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because I think Peyton has like a I don't know, gymnastics or something that she has to do Saturday morning.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so probably Saturday night at the least, and then maybe Friday and Saturday, um, at the most.
I just kind of threw it out for the whole weekend. So
Okay.
Cool. All right, guys, I better run.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, I gotta.
I got invited to join Charlie's Chuckers to Go's fantasy football league.
Oh yeah, I'm not doing it. I just can't do fantasy football this year.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna avoid this too.